warm welcome to everyone here. I'm welcoming myself as well as Gabriel. Um, this is a wonderful venture. I'm saying that from past experience. I've benefited so much from being in this kind of gathering together where we evolve by engaging in these meditation practices that are supporting us to come into the fullness of being and to be present to ourselves and our relationships and our world and how we're perceiving it. And that as we come into the fullness of being present, the movement, the flow of our natural dynamic energy is a compassionate flow. We are deeply, naturally caring beings, and we express that caring. And so our life is not complete or fulfilled if these uh, pathways to expressing our care for ourselves and others are blocked, which they can be easily blocked by our doubts, our fears, our tiredness, our view that I have to change, I have to be something other than I am. There's lots of ways we're going to be exploring and discovering that I can sabotage my own inherent joy or capacity for connection. We're going to look at three core practices that correspond to the three doors. So let's look at the word door. A door, as we know, is something we can enter into. We can enter into a room through a door. We can enter into an experience by opening a door. We can also leave. We can depart through a door. And in the way that we're encouraging ourselves to practice meditation is to notice when we arrive, notice when we leave or how we leave. And so in order to train ourselves to even be interested in that, because most of the time it doesn't even occur to us to be interested in being present and what it feels like to be present in our body, to be present in our voice, to be present in our mind, and to benefit from what it is to be fully present. We have habits that are often engaging us in thinking, planning. What am I going to do today? What am I going to do later? Oh, what did I do yesterday? Why did that person say that to me? We're going over the past, we're planning the future, or, oh, I'm not quite awake. I think I need some coffee. We're like tweaking the present or diagnosing the present. So these habits, they're habits. And we may think, no, that's the way I take care of myself. That's the way I know how to stay on track. But these habits obscure other possibilities. We have deeper intelligences available to us in our being. And so when we're meditating, we're going to see these habits. We're going to hear ourselves chattering away. We're going to be aware of our mind planning ahead. But we're not going to empower that. So we're training ourselves to notice that that actually is a way we leave ourselves. And when we notice that we engaged in a thought or a leaving, that's a beautiful moment. And we can return. So we're going to give ourselves three places to return. With the body, we're going to focus on stillness of the body. So we move. We're creatures that move. Our breath moves. Our thoughts move. The world around us is moving. So stillness is a focal point that is allowing us to be aware of all the movement without being drawn into it. So I can be present to all the movement of life. And my presence, as I settle into being present and aware, can be very expansive. The world is very alive within and around me. But a lot of times we're buffeted by the movement. We're shaken by it. We're drawn into it. And so we're going to have an opportunity to explore what is it to stabilize one's attention and to allow it to open to include all the movements of life. So that's one door that we work with the body, and the focus is the stillness of the body. The second door is our voice, speech, our capacity to express through sound. And the world is expressing constantly through sound. Usually we engage in the sound. We get caught up in it. We're talking to ourselves right now, even maybe as you're listening to me, or I'm listening to myself going, am I leaving anything out? So here, we're going to draw our attention, instead of to the sound itself, to the silence, which isn't a thing. It's more like a field of connection. We're turning our attention towards something that will give us access to a deeper intelligence. So I may be sitting here and it's quiet, and as it becomes quiet, I can hear I'm going, oh, am I doing this right? So I'm creating a little sound in my inner voice, and I might answer that, like, oh, I don't know, or oh, I shouldn't be doing that. And instead of going on that way, I'm being asked to draw my attention to the silence itself. It's akin to feeling that you're in the ocean and there are movements, currents, waves of sound. And I'm being encouraged to feel the ocean, the source itself. So I'm shifting my relationship to movement by being still, to vibration and sound by hearing the silence, resting my attention in the silence. And then the third door is mind. So we have body, speech, and mind. And our mind, we create, we think, we imagine, we plan, we worry, we get very engaged. Our mind is moving. We have a moving mind. Here, we're drawing our attention to the sort of the background of the mind, you might say, the space of the mind in which all these movements are happening. So rather than being aware or following a particular movement or thought, I'm going to shift my attention to the openness itself. What is that? That's nothing. And it's described as spaciousness because it's not a thing. It's spaciousness. So we'll be practicing, exploring, drawing our attention to spaciousness and noticing when we get caught up in a movement and releasing that tendency to move. So these three doors of body, speech, and mind, when we begin to focus our attention in certain ways, we can have access to an inner richness, not just within ourselves, but within our relationships, within the way we experience life, the way we experience another person. Our openness gives us access to delight. It gives us access to appreciation. It gives us access to seeing beauty more fully, to being touched by someone's pain or sorrow, to feeling connected. It's all about connection and what supports us to be in connection with ourselves and with each other. Gabriel and I were teaching once a course to women who had very hard lives. Some of them had lived in boxes on street corners or under bridges in the city of Philadelphia. The agency we worked for was given a grant to teach mindfulness meditation to these women. And so, Gabriel and I show up and there's a curriculum that we're following, and I start the class just like I'm doing today, and I say, oh, in this time together, we're going to explore being present in our lives. And this woman sitting across from me, she says, and why would I want to do that? And she wasn't the only one. She said that, and then all these people started nodding in this circle. So there's a circle of nodding women going, Yeah, what's up with that? It totally derailed the curriculum, the agenda. It was a stunning question. Why would I want to be present for this shitty life? Was basically what she was saying. So, shock, stunning silence within me, which felt like completely empty of any thought whatsoever. And fortunately, for some imprint of my life of practicing, I stayed there. I mean, I didn't try to fix it or, ugh. So I stayed there for a moment. Up bubbled my curiosity. I said, wow, how do you do that? How do you not be present? And what followed was a very lively discussion of what each person had done to leave, but not look like they were leaving. To look like somebody could look at them and think they're right there, but one person was up on the ceiling, another person was imagining she was on her grandmother's porch swinging back and forth, another person was thinking secretly, who do you think you are? Get the out of my face. So each person had a handy way basically to leave what didn't feel like a safe situation. And that encouraged me to realize, oh, we all do that. I do that. And usually what triggers leaving is a sense of unsafety, a lack of safety. And so hence we have what we call here in the three doors, our fundamental teaching is about refuge. It's about discovering that when we show up and when we're supported to show up for the moment of being fully present, there is a refuge of being that is rich and resourceful and stable. It is available to each one of us. And it's called, or we call it in English, inner refuge. And why that would even be the center of our teaching is because of our fear. Our fear drives us away. Our fear causes us to hide. And we do it so instinctively, we are not always aware that fear is operating. It's just a change of breath or a tightening of your muscles or a contraction in your throat, or your mind just goes to tomorrow. Your eyes dart away. It's so quick how we leave. And then we can later even discover we abandon ourselves in the leaving. So in these practices, we're going to be gently supported to come back in, come in, rest, be present, and to feel the refuge of that, the goodness of that. There's a substantial quality to being present that is very nourishing for one's life. A lot of these patterns developed when we were very young and we didn't fully know the fullness of our being and the fullness of what we're capable of. But they live in us as patterns. So we're going to be running into some of those patterns and bringing some kindness to them and some warmth so that we can feel what more becomes available. So much more becomes available.